My name's Tyler. I've got 22 years experience in the film industry. And in 2019, I started SideQuest Escape Games as a new challenge. I wanted to try my hand at escape rooms. And what I decided to do was build the world's first mobile escape room that develops real-world emergency preparedness skills. So I am the founder and owner of SideQuest Escape Games. And I design, built, and operate the Shaky Grounds Café, which is the mobile room we're talking about. I'm a U.S. Army veteran. I'm also an Emmy winner for my production design work on the television show Portlandia. For those of you not too familiar with that term, I'm the designer of the sets for film and TV. And so I'm a bit of a scenery snob. I like good sets, and as that applies to escape rooms, I don't care how good your puzzles are. If I am curing a zombie virus and your laboratory is 4 white walls and a stainless steel table and a whiteboard, I'm out of there. I like good sets. So that was very important to me when I went to build my escape room. I am a NET or CERT volunteer here in the United States, and we have a volunteer program called CERT. It's Community Emergency Response Teams. They started in the 80s in Los Angeles, and we're volunteers trained by the city to help our neighbors during a natural disaster. I know there's other programs that exist in the world that kind of follow the same model, but here in the US it's called CERT. So if I refer to CERT, that's what I'm talking about. And more specifically, NET is what it's called here in Portland, Oregon. The name CERT was already taken here by another organization. So we call ourselves NET in the city of Portland. And I am an escape room enthusiast. I really enjoy escape rooms. I've played 107 at this point, which is a high number by some standards, but a very low number by others. So I don't know where y'all fit in on that scale, but that's where I'm at. I will also invite anyone to ask questions at any point. I'm not a professional speaker. This is only my second time giving this presentation, so have grace. And if I skip over anything and you need clarification on anything, please feel free to just stop me and raise your hand or throw it in the chat.
Great start. Good job.
Oh, thank you. Okay. So when I decided I had worked in the film industry for about 20 years, and I wanted to try an escape room, designing, building an escape room. But I knew that I did not want to make another Sherlock Holmes zombie or Egyptian tomb theme. I needed to do something new that hadn't been tried before. And I got really stuck on this idea of whether or not an escape room could teach real life skills. Obviously, people are using escape type games in classroom settings to teach, which is what we're all here about. But that's not something that I had personally experienced. And I certainly hadn't ever seen or heard of like a permanent escape room that teaches real world development, skill development. So I got really stuck on this idea. It's something I really wanted to do, but I didn't know if that's something people would want to pay to play. But it's sort of, this is my journey. This is where I went. And we got this little flyer piece here. Let's save that for later. So what is the Shaky Grounds Cafe? This is a mobile escape room. You can see the trailer there. These are the things, this is what I wanted to do with my room. I wanted it to be educational, so it needed to teach emergency preparedness in one way or another. People were going to learn real life skills about emergency preparedness by playing this game. I knew that in order to win, I wanted you to have to collect a bunch of preparedness supplies, and you're also going to use those items to solve puzzles. So you're getting preparedness supplies in your hands, getting hands-on with them. You're getting familiarity with the things that should be in your preparedness kit and how to use them, and using them correctly as a way to solve puzzles. And like I said, eventually collect all the things that should be in your preparedness kit. And in collecting things, that's how you complete the room. The puzzles would need to teach real life skills. And I also needed to make it mobile to reach more communities. But if I'm being completely honest, here in Portland, it's much easier to open a business if it's on wheels than it is in a brick and mortar. So that was part of it. Lower barrier to entry there. So I made it mobile, but I can take it throughout the Pacific Northwest and do pop-ups in communities and help spread preparedness awareness through gaming the preparedness situation. Yeah, but I still didn't know if people would want to pay to play an educational escape room. And I really struggled with the idea of how to get people invested and engaged in the story. There is sort of a preparedness. There is sort of a problem when it comes to preparedness messaging and maybe educational messaging in general. But you know, traditional preparedness messaging sometimes just feels like this, like you're just shouting into the void, like, "Hey, everybody, sky is falling. Store food, store water." People don't listen to that messaging. So how could I get people invested and get them excited about preparedness or want to learn more about preparedness? So I had to look at what traditional preparedness messaging looked like. Traditional preparedness messaging often feels like you're preaching to the choir. It seems like you are the people who listen to the messaging are the people who are already thinking about preparedness. So we did, you know, traditional messaging is public tabling events. You're handing out information, trying to get people's attention. Hey, store water, store food, give them the information. There is some marketing that people do with, you know, I've seen some bus ads around town. You know, books and comics I've seen used. But again, those are sort of like getting the attention of people that are already thinking about it. Workplaces and schools may do safety days or drills. Um, there's digital applications, emails and spam and social media. But again, a lot of times people just ignore it if they're not already thinking about preparedness. So the challenge was, how do you get new eyes on, right? How do we inspire people that aren't even thinking about preparedness yet? So I had to look at, like, well, why aren't people listening to preparedness, or why do people ignore it? And there's a lot of reasons. Often people think that it happens to other people, not them, or people expect that emergency responders are going to come save them. That's just not the reality of it. Here, the messaging in the Pacific Northwest is that when an earthquake occurs, we're going to be on our own for at least 2 weeks. That's the state telling us this. The emergency responders are going to be busy doing their own stuff. So people are surprised to hear that no one's coming door to door to save them. People expect that someone else will take care of it for them. People avoid thinking about disasters because they're scary and overwhelming. They're turned off, and often disaster messaging sounds like it's fear mongering. Sometimes it's too much to comprehend or too complicated. And then oftentimes people just feel lost. They can't put themselves mentally in that place. It's a huge task and they don't even know where to start. And there isn't an opportunity for hands-on experience. And they often don't understand the stakes. So I realized that if there's no personal stakes, there's no urgency to act. So I needed to find a way to create personal stakes when it came to emergency preparedness. And this is my solution. Do you really want to face the apocalypse without your morning coffee? Here in the Pacific Northwest, coffee is pretty huge. I know wherever you are, there might be a different beverage of choice, but here, coffee really resonates with a lot of people. And even if your thing's not coffee, it's a stand-in for whatever your thing happens to be. But so here's two versions of a pregame briefing. So I give people the briefing before the game, and this was version 1 before the coffee. You've survived an earthquake. You're out of food and water. What are you going to do now? Or you've survived an earthquake. You're running low on food and water and medical supplies, but worst of all, you've just run out of coffee. And when I changed to that briefing, people perked up. They all of a sudden were invested. They were listening. Everybody can relate on a personal level. They have heard that they need to store food and water, but until you make it personal and threaten them with not having coffee the morning after the disaster, they're willing to listen. It's funny. And not just that, they get excited. And not only that, I've taken a lot of the tension out of the room. Oh, I've reminded them this is going to be fun, interesting experience, nothing to be scared about. We're lightening the mood. Don't worry, we're just talking about coffee. And I see the faces change when that part of the briefing happens, and it's just a very interesting sort of moment. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes. I'm going to show you the little video we made to sort of introduce you to the game, and then I'll be right back, and we'll talk more about the Shaky Grounds Cafe. First of all, can everybody hear that?
Yes, sir.
All right,
Perfect.
great.
Thanks. Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Shaky Grounds Café, where today I will be showing you how to do a traditional coffee cupping. My name is Douglas Blair, and I'm excited to be spending the afternoon with you. Now, this is the phase where we actually get our first taste of the coffees. Rainier cherry and Cocoa Puffs.
Earthquake alert. Seek cover immediately. Communities throughout Washington. Cascadia megaquake. The ongoing power outages throughout Oregon and Washington.
Continuing boil water notice as municipal water supplies are likely contaminated.
From raw sewage is creating a serious biohazard risk in residential.
Infrastructure. Grocery stores will remain closed for the foreseeable future.
Anyone with first aid supplies is asked to donate.
So there's that. And now I'm going to take you inside the cafe. I'm going to show you some stuff. Heads up, there are spoilers if you plan on playing the Shaky Grounds Cafe at some point. Can't talk about this without spoilers, but here we go inside the cafe. So an important thing, as you probably know, is onboarding. It's your first puzzle. It's what hooks people. It's what brings them in and invests them in your story. So first I've hooked them with the coffee, but now I need to hook them on the room itself. First of all, in the escape room industry, traditionally mobile escape rooms or trailers are not very well received. They're passable as escape rooms traditionally, but people generally aren't too excited. They don't expect much from a mobile escape room. So it was important for me for people to have a really good onboarding experience and surprise them. So you start the game locked out. That's all covered during the briefing, and you have to get into the cafe. The first thing, I also during the briefing, I say you need to mitigate hazards. That's going to be an important part of it. So you come up to the front door of this cafe. The door is locked. You can't force it open. And you see the gas meter there on the lower left. I don't know if gas meters look the same throughout the world, but here, that's what gas meters look like. And you experience that gas meter is leaking. You can hear the gas leak. You can smell the gas leak. You can feel the gas leak. And you need to shut off that gas leak. If you see the telephone pole on the left there are some flyers, and one of those is an emergency notice that tells you how to properly shut off a gas meter. You search around the gas meter, you find a gas shutoff tool, which is just a simple wrench. Using the information on the flyer, it shows you where to use the wrench. You properly use the wrench, and the door magically pops open. You've shut off the gas meter. So before you've even gotten in the room, you've learned how to turn off your gas in an emergency, which is actually pretty interesting. Because going back to the certs and the nest, the volunteers that I was talking about earlier, a lot of them have played the room, and we've all been taught how to turn off the gas meter, but no one's physically done it. So I get a lot of people that have the knowledge of how to do it, but having never done it, struggle to do it. So it's, even if you know how to do something, getting hands-on and tactile with it makes all the difference, which I know I'm not splitting the atom with that statement. But it is interesting to watch. So once the door opens,
Is
yeah.
it okay? Someone is asking, I don't know if you're okay with me interrupting, I apologize.
Sure.
How do you create the gas smell without
Oh, that's a
blowing
great question.
the
Thanks. Yeah, there's a lot of different scents that are available. And sorry, my chat window's kind of closed, so thank you for
No, no, that's quite all right.
You can pop in at any time with these
Okay.
questions. Yeah, so it's there's fake scents you can get just online. They're often used in soaps and things, but also the haunted house industry uses them a lot for ambient scents. So
I'm not sure who wants a gas soap. That's great.
Yeah, so yeah, it's more haunted house stuff. So they have some like sulfur smells if you wanted, gas smells like rotten eggs. I haven't found that exact smell. I found close to it, which is sulfur or volcano scent. And then I introduced that into the air source that shoots the air out.
Very good. And everyone's hooked, even if they don't drink coffee. That's how we're doing in the quiet tiles you see of our lack of faces. But great job. Keep going. Thank you.
Yes, great. Yeah. Oh, and even if you don't drink coffee, you've realized the value of it as a bartering commodity. That's what I always say to people who don't.
There you go. Or in your spouse having it.
Exactly. If your loved one doesn't have coffee, they're making your life hell. So you've decided it's in your best interest to find them some.
Very good.
Once you get into the cafe, you will see a car has crashed through the wall. Oh, this is a post-disaster coffee shop, so there's a lot of destruction in here. And one of the things you see is a car, and it is on fire. Those bulbs, you can see they're flicker, they look like flame. And then there's smoke billowing out of it, and then there's some audio that sounds like a crackling fire. And the next thing you need to do is, I'm sure you've guessed by now, or I hope you have, you need to go find a fire extinguisher, and you're going to use that fire extinguisher to extinguish this fire. You're going to use the PASS method, which is the acronym used to remember how to use a acronym. Anyway, remember how to use a fire extinguisher. P stands for pull the pin. A, aim at the base of the fire. S, squeeze the handle, and other S, sweep side to side. So you're going to pull the pin on that fire extinguisher. When you pull the handle on it, it shoots a laser out, and then you use that laser to aim at the base of the fire specifically, and then those light bulbs start going out. And then if you take too long, they start turning back on, so that's kind of a little bit of a game there. But then once you knock all those light bulbs down, you've succeeded, that fire goes out, the smoke stops, and it progresses you on to the next puzzle. So again, in the first like 2 or 3 minutes of the game, now we've learned how to shut off our gas and use a fire extinguisher. I've exceeded your expectations, but crashing a car through the wall of a trailer, which surprises people. They don't expect much. And once they've gotten to that point, then they're usually pretty invested and all the way in. Now, the goal of this game is to collect a bunch of items in a commonly found in a preparedness kit. So you're going to collect all these items displayed here. And what you find when you get in the room are these shelves with labels on them. The labels either tell you what you're looking for or hint as to what you're looking for. So for example, you can't quite see it, but there's that shelf on the lower left with 4 tags, and it says you need to find something. The tags just simply say 3 hours, 3 minutes, 3 days, and 3 weeks. And through your searching and scavenging, because you're scavenging this coffee shop, you do find an instruction card that tells you about the rules of 3. And the rules of 3 state that you need to, when you talk about preparedness, you need to take care of your needs in order of priority. And the priority is 3 minutes. You can survive 3 minutes without breathable air. You can survive 3 hours in extreme temperatures. These are rough numbers. 3 hours in extreme temperatures, 3 days without water, and 3 weeks without food. So now they break down the idea that like, okay, I need to find something to help me survive 3 minutes. So you find those N95 masks. They fit nicely in the spot required. Everything fits neatly in the spots provided for it. So you put the masks in the 3-minute section, and a little light comes on, and you're like, oh, okay, I found the masks. I go there. Now 3 days without water. Like, oh, I need to find something related to water. 3 weeks without food. I need to find something to do with food. So these tags sort of make you think a bit more. They don't necessarily tell you exactly what you're looking for. They make you kind of think about what you might need to help survive in certain scenarios. The light does automatically come on using RFID sensors and or magnets and reed switches. Everything is automated in here, with the exception of a few things that I trigger manually just for safety purposes. And I also have the ability to trigger something manually if a sensor doesn't not work properly, but sometimes if people don't put something exactly where it's supposed to go, I can override that so that it all happens on the back end. Okay, let's see. So you're collecting all the things on the shelf. So what we're doing is letting people explore their environment. They get to experiment, and they get to discover preparedness through their own actions and decisions. You know how escape rooms work, right? But what I kind of realized through this process is that I'm not selling escape rooms, I'm not selling puzzles. What I'm really selling and what people really want are the aha moments. They want to feel clever. They get excited when they feel like they've solved something. What you've done is orchestrated this in a way that you've already figured out you figured out a way for them to feel clever and have them feel like they taught themselves something or discovered something on their own. So what I sell and what I realize that I'm selling is aha moments, and it's my job to provide people with as many of those as I can. Fortunately, with this specific model of the escape room, where you're collecting a bunch of stuff, every time something is added to that shelf, that's a new aha moment. So there's plenty of opportunities for people to like get a little spike of adrenaline from solving something, which is great. I love watching that. Anyway, that's another one of those flyer pieces. Let's add that over here to our inventory. We'll get back to that a little bit later. I want to get into a couple puzzle examples, you know, a little bit more what I'm talking about. Again, we're talking about puzzles in a physical space, and just to help you understand what I'm doing a little bit better, I want to walk you through a few of our puzzles. Oh, I found another piece. Let's add that to this. All right, here's one puzzle that people come up against. So you're searching around, you're scavenging, you find this flyer here. It says stop, failure to follow proper shutdown procedures may lead to contamination of your potable water with raw sewage. There's some information you find also that tells you that you can get drinkable water from your water heater. And so that inspires people to think about like, oh, I have water in my water heater. Well, how do I get that? If I can get water from my water heater, that's great. But if I don't know how to get it, then what? So you search around a bit more. You do find a water heater eventually over here. You've also found a circuit breaker. When you investigate the water heater, you also see some sort of valve up here. It says potable water with a little arrow. We've also got a sink here, and then you've got this spigot at the base of the tank. So these are different things that you've found through your investigation. You flip that card over, and it tells you, yeah, did you know that your water heater may contain drinkable water? Follow these steps in order to access it. And I'm going to show you another video and just kind of show you how this puzzle plays out. Get off the gas or the power of the water heater. On the circuit breaker earlier, we go back to that. It's not a good sound. There's always an aha moment at that point too. we're like, oh, that's how you shut your water heater down. Well, that's how I can get water. It is important to do it in the right order. You can contaminate your water. But yeah, you found some more stuff. We'll add that to our inventory. And now we're continuing down the water storage quest or path. And so we've got everything we need now to work on this puzzle. So players come across this bulletin board. Looks like we've got some flyers with some information missing. We've got an events calendar, and we've collected some items. So if anyone guessed that you need to put the missing flyer pieces onto the bulletin board, you were correct. Let's investigate each of those flyers a little more closely. Sorry, so these are pretty low-res images, but this completed flyer here says, bring water to a full rolling boil for at least blank minutes, and then that blank is like a little hole. This flyer says you need to store 1 gallon of water per person and pet per day for a total of blank days. And it says untreated water should be rotated every blank months. And then finally, water preserver will extend storage time to blank years. And then the final flyer says add blank drops of pure bleach per 1 gallon of water. Use unscented bleach that was purchased in the last blank months. And finally, stir and let water stand for blank minutes. Then we found this sheet of paper which says what you need to know about water. And this is always pretty exciting because at this point, people are starting to figure out what they need to do. Now, if I'd given someone this sheet of paper and just outside of an escape room experience said, this is everything you know about water, read it. People, I don't know, maybe they'll read it, maybe they won't. They're certainly not going to be excited about it. But once people start figuring out what this puzzle is and what they need to do, I see people actively, not literally fighting, but essentially fighting over who gets to read the information about water. People are all of a sudden excited to read about the water and can't wait to read through it and solve this thing. So I see people almost fighting over the information sometimes to see who gets to read the information about water. Anyway, you've got these cables, and if you guessed you need to connect the cables into the correct spots to solve the puzzle, you are correct. Here we have found a water filter. We're going to add that to our inventory. And remember, the goal of this game is to collect a bunch of stuff onto a shelf. We've collected everything else onto the shelf except for our, we needed something to help us survive 3 days. That car trunk has been locked this whole time. People have been wondering what is in there. Again, spoilers. But we add that water filter to the shelf and the trunk pops open and you have survived. You have found a very well-stocked emergency preparedness kit with everything you could possibly need to survive a disaster. It includes a complete kit provided by a local company that makes preparedness kits, and then freeze-dried food, water, there's more coffee in there. And then we have people are very excited, we solved it, and while people are excited and while that adrenaline is kicking, I then do a quick, very quick, not even 5-minute post-game brief. I usually start by saying, hey, how prepared are you at home on a scale of 1 to 10? And people give me some number based on what they think. Usually it's around 3 or 4, 2, 0. And then I follow up with like, well, do you feel more prepared than you were an hour ago? And the answer is always yes. They've learned some skills. Even if they don't retain the exact information, I've introduced them to over 20 different things that they should know about. So later on, when something comes up, they go, oh, I did learn something about that. They can then choose to do that, choose to learn more about it at that point, but at least I've made them aware that that's something that they should know about. So anyway, give them some information. I give them some information from the Red Cross. It's a really good pamphlet. It is specific to the disasters we face here in the Pacific Northwest and how to prepare for them. It's got all the information they need. The only information it doesn't include is the twin bucket emergency toilet, which is what to do with human waste during a disaster, which is a puzzle in here. You look to play with fake poop in this game, which is fantastic. The kids love that puzzle. So I give them that. And then I give them information on buying that emergency kit. That's a partnership I have with the woman who puts those kits together. So I give them the handouts, which at this point, they're eager to take them, right? This isn't me just at a tabling event trying to wave people down in the street, like, take this, take this. People are now like actively wanting this information, which is fantastic. We do a quick Q&A. I ask them if they have any questions about preparedness or any of the puzzles in the game. And oftentimes people will be like, oh yeah, what was the thing with the water? I missed that. And then we get a chance to talk about that water situation a little bit more, because this is a parallel progression room, which means a lot of puzzles are happening simultaneously. So players can miss part of the room. So we try and recap the things that they each missed, but I try and let the players have those conversations so that they're teaching each other and expressing the things that they've learned, which is great. And then finally, we do take a game photo, and then I'll email that off, and that will, of course, have links that they can follow for additional preparedness education and research. Okay, so in addition to the standard escape room benefits, right? Escape rooms, we know, are great for building communication and teamwork and problem solving and boosting morale and revealing strengths. These are all reasons that corporations use these for escape rooms for team building activities. I'm also teaching all of these things as well. This is Ripple Beam. So we're learning how to, I'm not going to read through all of these, but it's maybe 30 different things you learn in 1 hour about preparedness. And they're all listed here. But again, most importantly, we've learned that coffee is critical. So in 2024 alone, we did 52 pop-up events. That's one pop-up every weekend. We're always somewhere. People can always play the escape room. We've gone to 30 different communities in this last year with the escape room, and gotten people excited about preparedness education. I've estimated about 500,000 trailer impressions, because this trailer is essentially a mobile billboard. I travel around, people are seeing it and becoming aware of our brand and what we're doing. Gotten about 4,000 hands-on in 2024, and we've won awards, which I'm very excited about, because remember, I was mostly concerned about if people would want to play an educational escape room, if people would pay money to play an educational escape room, and if it was educational, would people enjoy it? I don't know how familiar you are with the escape room industry, but we've been nominated for 2 Tripecas. We've only been open 2.5 years, so the first year we were open, we were nominated for Tripeca. We got Best of Morty this year, and we have 5 stars across the board on all of our review sites. So people love it. It's fantastic, and I couldn't be more proud of what we've done over here. So yeah, we've gotten people invested and engaged in our story, and they're enjoying it. So what have I learned? I did learn I need to entertain first. Although I'm trying to educate people, if they're not entertained, they're not going to listen. So if there was ever a point where education was butting up against entertainment, I'll always edge out over entertainment a little bit to keep people engaged and interested. And then later we can circle back and maybe tack something on at the end that increases the educational portion of it. But I need to entertain them first, because if they're not entertained, the rest of it I feel like isn't going to happen. Next, I need to make sure that they are engaged. Players need to be invested. And I discovered that they weren't invested until I started talking about coffee. So I figured out that for me and emergency preparedness, coffee was the sort of the linchpin that we needed to get people invested. But once they're invested, now we can educate them. But the trick in the education part is I can't teach to them. I need them to want to learn. I can't give them a packet of information about water and expect them to absorb it. I need to find a way to get them excited about learning that and wanting that information. And because they've been entertained and engaged, now they want it. And now we empower them with these aha moments where they feel clever. They feel like they learned something on their own, like they taught themselves something, and it empowers them. So it's this great sort of feedback loop that I've been leaning into. So that's the Shaky Grounds Café. You can learn more about us here. If you're ever in the Pacific Northwest, I would urge you to play.